Hey, um, and action. All right. I wanted to make this video on the computer. I thought it'd be a lot better just to, anyway. Kia ora, welcome to this video. This is like a video diary series that I'll be recording and keeping on my computer or wherever. Simply wanted to, this is what I want to do, share a little bit about where I'm starting um in terms of my journey so far. So let's just start with the date. It's Thursday, the 13th of October, 9 p.m. And I wanted to talk about my health, wealth, and maybe just health and wealth. My health and wealth state via Zoom. Just going to bring up a couple of figures here. Now, I won't go into specifics, but I'll try to speak my points very, very in a general sense. So, first off, we'll start with my current income and my current net worth. So, my current income is less than $50,000. This is after tax. And my current net worth is roughly a third of that. So if you think about it, I make less than $50,000, and a third of that is my current net worth. You work those numbers out for yourself. So that is my current status at the moment. I believe at the end of last year, I managed to pay off a very large debt, which was my student loan, and I was very, very grateful after that. And since then, in progress for the last year or so, I started investing in a stock brokerage a little earlier in 2022, and so far I have been regularly investing every month um, since then. I think I've invested 4 or 5 times so far. And it's a fairly low amount. It's nothing too crazy. Um, Ideally, if you are going to invest in stocks, the S&P 500, really, really simple. I would be considered a lazy investor. It's kind of I use the set and forget method. I don't research stocks. I don't do anything of that. I just put money into this account, and I know that there will be at least 5 to 6% interest on my investments over a period of time, which is that compound interest. So every time you invest, you get a little bit of extra. I would say you would get a little bit of extra every time you invest, and all the times that you invest individually, they all add up, and they basically compound, which is also known as the eighth wonder of the world. Additionally to that, I do advise that when you do start investing in a stock brokerage, that you find one that is, how do I say this? Try and find one that would take the least amount of fees, basically. Try and figure out a way to pay the least amount of fees so that you can get majority of your money actually invested. Because say you wanted to invest, $500, by the time you actually invest it, you would lose a certain amount because of the fee. So just add up the costs and make sure it's all that you're aware of the whole process. That is the same also for KiwiSaver, which is what we have here in New Zealand. And I am in a high growth fund with low fees. And I'm proud to say that that is with Juno. They are the best in that, in terms of that category. Obviously, it's recommended by a lot of investing books, money books, finance books, that a low cost fund with minimal fees will get you a higher return over time because it's more stable, and they won't be taking money from those profits. I don't, if I'm being honest, I don't think a lot of people are in the right fund. I mean, you always get a choice of which one you should be, but obviously, if you're younger, high growth, low fees. Simple as that. Majority of everybody should be in there unless you're older. I don't know, 40. If you're around 40, you should be at minimum, you should be in a balanced fund. You shouldn't be in a growth fund. But you can be in a growth fund. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just saying you're better off not to save more. You're better off just to minimize loss. But anyway, I'm not 40, so it's not relevant. What else did I want to add? A couple of other really important finance decisions that I decided to make was to get rid of my car. On average, the running of a car costs anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 per year, and that amount is on top of the purchase price. So you can imagine people who have purchased a car on finance and they're paying a ridiculous amount of interest over a period of time on top, and then on top of your outgoing costs just to pay for the car, you're also paying the running fees, which is, like I said, approximately 5,000 to 6,000. Majority of cars that are bigger than 2 liters, I'd say your prices are higher because you got bigger tires, you got bigger motors, you use more gas. It's just endless. So even on the cheapest, most fuel efficient, fuel economical car, you're looking at about 5 to 6 grand per year. That's a lot of money that you could have invested elsewhere. What was the other thing? Yeah, so in terms of my finance wealth status, that's kind of where I am. So at the moment, those are my current investments, which is KiwiSaver retirement and a stock what would you call it, portfolio with a brokerage account. Awesome. Moving on to the next one, health. I just wanted to do a quick update. So like I said, we're towards the end of 2022, and I want to retreat back to March 2021, which was start of last year. And at that time, we went to Flex Fitness 24-hour gym, and they have a machine where they do body scans, and it basically tells you all these very intricate details of your body mass, your body weight, how much you need to lose, how many calories you should be eating. Is a very intricate, detailed process. I just want to mention the notes from there. So at that time last year, my total body weight came into 121.3 kgs, and I was at the time 24 years old. And they recommended my goal to control body fat would be 45.9 kgs that I would need to lose from that period. So ideally, they recommended that would take 2 and a bit years to actually do it, which is like very, very reasonable. That, yeah, totally. They also said how old did they say I am? Oh, they said my physical body age is 40 years old, which is absolutely terrible. Anyways, fast forward to today. Um, at the actually one more thought at the start of 2022, I was almost 128, 130. I kind of jumped up and down that higher 120 to 130 range. But now I'm basically the exact same weight that I was last year, at the start of last year in March when I took that test, like I just mentioned. So I am absolutely ecstatic because I will go into a bit more detail, but I've implemented some changes that I know it'll be inevitable before I actually reach the goal. So I'm happy about that. And so what changes have I made to effectively lose almost eight or so kgs, given the fact that I actually put on 8 kgs in a year and then I lost 8 kgs in a year. So it's very, very strange. But here's what I did. To put it simply, I increased walking. Walking is I've found to be a very effective way to implement. Plus, not having a car, I often walk more often. I've been walking the dog. I walk to work, home from work. I ordered a treadmill. So I've done all these things over the course of the last few months. And some have worked, some haven't, but the consistency of actually doing a little bit at a time has helped tremendously. And now that I think about it, when I was before I could even drive, when I was 17, 18, I used to do a lot of walking around then. So I mean, it's nothing too difficult, and I've been able to do really well. Moving on to the food aspect, I implemented my own version of meal prep, which is basically I don't cook individual meals. I just cook the same meal, and I make it a lunch and I make a dinner. And then for breakfast, I have the same thing every day. I've been having Weet-Bix with yogurt or peaches and milk. And I quite often have that same thing every single day and doesn't bother me. I know that for a period, actually, I was having cornflakes because I think I got sick of Weet-Bix, which is fair enough. Because eventually you'll get over the thing that you keep doing if you keep doing it over and over. So that's totally understandable. And so this meal prep thing has done really well for me. I've tried to think of meals and basically I've boiled it down to the most easiest kind of meals to make, which are some source of protein, carbs, and or veggies mainly. I'm not into salads, so I don't really buy a salad or anything. So generally those two, carbs and protein of some sort. I have stuck mostly to pastas, rice meals, chicken and rice, chicken and veggies, meat and veggies, curries, pastas, spaghetti bolognese, like very carb loaded foods, but the amount of the portion sizes have been extremely like, I mean, from my estimation, I think it's anywhere between 350 to 500 calories. I could be wrong, but I assume that's how many calories are in the food, the sizing of the meal prep that I make. So that has done wonders for me, and that's what made me lose all that weight. Literally cut my food intake in half. I just feel so much better. Other than that, those are the health and wealth things that I've done. I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm implementing next in terms of where we're going. Maybe I should do a separate video for goals. Yeah, maybe I should. Should just be okay. This is just about my status. I've done a lot of things this year. Another thing, I have no tooth. Listen, long story short, I had a tooth that had a really, very deep hole. Apparently, it was very, very close to the nerve, and they thought maybe we could fill it or I'd have to have a root canal. So he gave me those two options. So I got the filling, didn't work. I was like, cool, I'll get the root canal. Had no issues until the root canal broke, the filling broke twice. And this was because the outer tooth, so the is your tooth and it's got a hole in it. So the outside of the tooth was basically no more. Like there was no structure. So the tooth wouldn't even be able, it wasn't even able to survive. It had nothing. It was gone. So I had to pull that. I just pulled it out maybe 2 weeks ago. And it feels really weird, but no more toothache, which is fabulous. So my next part is to try and figure out what should I put in there. But that's another conversation. Anyways, yeah, so let's pull up my status again. So my current income is less than 50,000. My current net worth is about a third of my income. My current weight, 13th of October 2022, is 121.3. And yeah, this is my status. Still single, not mingling. Just kidding. That was a joke. That was funny on my head, but it's not funny. Just kidding. Anyways, I feel like those are the most important things that I have to point out. And so I will make a separate video for my goals. Goodbye. Bye.